Okay, hi, I'm Cathy Neptune. Welcome to my kitchen. And I was going to make for you this evening something seasonal, but you can make this any time of the year. It's called a Reuben ring. You're going to love this technique. It can be done with so many variations, and I'll tell you a little more about that as we go along. For dessert, we're doing an Irish cream puff or profiterole, which is made a little differently than the traditional one. It has chocolate in the filling and chocolate in the cream puff itself. You're gonna love this. It's fun, it's easy, and that's what I'm all about, making your time in the kitchen fun, fast, and fabulous. I wanna thank everybody too for checking out the YouTube and contacting me for recipes, and as always, you can check out the resources for some of these wonderful tools that you'll wanna have in your kitchen. Can't build a home without the right tools, same in your kitchen. So let's get started. And this is a very important beginning to this recipe. We're using 2 packages of Crescent Rolls, the refrigerated kind that you bang and open up. And you want to remember this technique in a sunburst pattern, as you can see. And the best way to get these even, I've learned from experience, you start out 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then fill them in as you go along, and that holds 2 packages in a sunburst pattern, the point side to the outer edges. And make sure you do this, keep your Crescent Rolls in the refrigerator so they'll stay cold. When they get room temperature, they get very difficult to maneuver. Now you can see here that the dough, because we're layering it in the center, is a little mounded, so in order for it to cook evenly, I'm taking a little roller and pressing out the dough just so that it bakes evenly. You don't want a big mound of dough in the middle because it'll take longer to cook than the outer edges. And we're going to be covering this up anyway, so it doesn't really matter if it doesn't look all neat and even. It's your kitchen, your recipe, and you can do whatever you want. Nobody's gonna look. And I'm using my baking stone. This gives a great finished product, and so many of you have asked about the baking stones. It just cooks evenly, top and bottom and all over. If you've ever done cookies on an aluminum cookie sheet, most of the time they burn on the bottom and they're just barely baked on the top. You're gonna see when we do this on a stone that the dough is cooked evenly on the bottom as on the top, so you're not gonna have a soggy product on the bottom, especially important when you're doing breads, doughs of this type, and also pie doughs, pie crusts. So we're going to take any kind of your favorite mustard, and I'm just pouring liberally. And don't forget, you can always email me for exact recipes and quantities, but we want exactly approximately that much. You can wing it. And then another great tool in your kitchen, a silicone basting brush that goes into the dishwasher. We're just spreading this around all over your crust. And you can use, sometimes I use a honey Dijon mustard. A roasted garlic mustard is good, but it's kind of fun to mix it up a little bit. Use what you have on hand. One time I also used a cranberry mustard. It was really good. Now our traditional Reuben has Swiss cheese, and you can use pastrami. I have a nice lean corned beef today. I'm gonna layer that around the sides. And again, it's up to you, whatever you like. You could use a Gruyere cheese, a light Swiss, baby Swiss, whatever they have that you and your family enjoy. And you've noticed on the dough as well that I've left a circle in the middle. And that's because we call it a ring. So you need a hole in the middle of it. That goes around the edge. You can see this is very exact. And then I think I'll do the lean corned beef on top of that. And I always like to have my corned beef shaved. It's easier to spread out that way. And I thought this would be a great recipe to share because of the St. Patrick's Day. Everybody's going to have leftover corned beef, and this is a perfect recipe for corned beef. I also use this technique, different ingredients of course, for leftover ham, and I do a broccoli ham ring with your leftover Easter ham, and that is fabulous. And a lot of other fillings as well. So you want a nice even layer all around. And then I have in here some sauerkraut, and very important, sauerkraut can be very pungent and very strong in flavor. So I always rinse mine out in a colander and squeeze it dry so that it's not really adds any liquid to this. You don't want it to be soggy. And I find that children don't have an aversion to it because it's a little bit milder flavor when you rinse it that way. So put that. So far we have the mustard, the Swiss cheese, corned beef shaved, and our rinsed and drained sauerkraut on the top. Then we're going to take a little bit of Thousand Island, or you could use Russian dressing, whatever you have, not too much, just a little bit over the top. Exactly, approximately that much. Cooking is so precise. That's why I like to cook rather than bake. I find that cooking is a little bit more forgiving than baking. Baking, terrible things happen if you don't measure things, so I like to bake. Now this, we're going to take the points, bring them up and over, and I'm kind of tucking them into the center of the ring. You stretch it, and you can see why you want your dough to be cold. And as this bakes, it puffs up and seals. If you tuck, be sure to tuck it in there. All around the edge. This is great for a party, as an appetizer with different fillings. And making sure that it's pretty even all the way around, like so. And this is going to bake at 350. If you're not sure about how long to bake, you just follow the directions on the container of the crescent roll dough, because the only thing that we're baking there, if you think about it, everything is cooked and ready to go. Really the only thing you're baking are the crescent rolls. So good tip to remember. And then some of the other fillings that you could do with this technique, like I mentioned, the broccoli ham ring. I'll be happy to send you the recipe. My email address is right there on your screen, and also for tips and tools on baking stones and so forth. There's another ingredient. I do a taco ring, which is wonderful, and you do, when it comes out, there's a hole in the center and you can put taco chips in the middle, or a V-cut of pepper and put salsa, fill your green pepper with salsa. There's also a brunch ring, lightly scrambled eggs with sausage and ham and green onions or mushrooms, or your favorite combination. Make sure your eggs or the ingredients, the filling that you're using, is cold, because again, you want your dough to remain pliable. Another favorite that I do, if you have leftover meatballs, or you want to do a steak and cheese ring, there's so many different variations that you can do. And use your imagination, whatever you have. My children love just cheeseburger rings. And you can add whatever fillings that you'd like to it. So give it a try. And remember to just follow the baking directions on your crescent rolls, and everything else is cooked. Your filling is cool, and you're good to go. It's a great, great recipe for you. Now we're going to do a profiterole for dessert while that bakes in the oven. And a very simple technique that you should try. Don't be afraid of doing cream puffs or profiteroles, as they call it, I believe, in New Orleans. And I did a traditional one, and it's basically a pastry where you warm up in a saucepan equal amounts of sugar and water and a little bit of salt, and you bring that to a boil and you add flour to that, and which I also added some cocoa, unsweetened cocoa powder. That's what makes it chocolate. And you cook that in a saucepan until it kind of adheres into a ball. And you cook it down because you're going to add eggs to this mixture. And one of the tips and the tricks of a successful cream puff is the longer you cook it in the pan, you're drying out all the liquids, and that will enable your dough to absorb more eggs into the dough, which makes a lighter and fluffier cream puff. So little tips like that and tricks help you to learn as you go and to improve your technique. And certainly an easy and fun thing to do. If you didn't want to do a sweetened version, you don't add sugar to your water mixture. And then you could fill this with a crab spread or a chicken salad or an egg salad and do like an appetizer or a little light luncheon dish. So what I'm going to do here is just take the covers, take a serrated knife, and you want to cut around your profiterole. And if you do this, another tip that I've learned is when you take them out of the oven, you poke a hole in the top of it and let the steam out so they don't become soggy. And sometimes, if this is makes a little shell, but if you wanted to make it a little bit, they didn't come out deep enough, you just take the back of a knife and make it an indentation there so you have a larger area to fill. Now, I didn't have any Irish coffee liqueur, so a fun thing that I did was to make my own, which were equal parts of water or milk. In this situation, I used milk and sugar, boiled it down, a pinch of salt, and a little bit of rum extract. And that was it, and it gives a wonderful flavor to your sauce. And then I added instant pudding, a little bit of cream cheese to the warm mixture to make it a little bit richer, more like a filling than a pudding. And I blended that with the instant pudding and a cup of milk, and it gives you a wonderful filling to take and put inside your cream puffs. So you could use a decorator if you wanted to, but this is just as good. A lot of people don't have a decorator in their home, for fillings and cakes and so forth. So I'm just taking this and spooning it into the profiterole. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I baked these inside a mini muffin pan, which I use for everything. I love my little mini muffin pan, so it makes it more bite-size. And how pretty is this to have on your table? You can refrigerate these. You can make them the night before and just keep them in your refrigerator. So many of you have emailed me for the recipes, so I hope you're trying all these at home. I get such wonderful emails and feedback. So something a little different to do. So if you like chocolate, this is a good way to go. And then you can do powdered sugar on the top if you'd like, a little powdered sugar to decorate. I'm going to do my favorite topping that I think I showed you before. I have a little bit of Cool Whip here, probably, I'd say half a cup of whipped topping. And then we're going to take approximately 114 chocolate chips. I get better at measuring. And you put them in there. And then if I could have my friend Alex come up and put this in the microwave for 30 seconds for me on high, we're going to blend that together and put it inside. Blend those fillings together and pour that over the top. I wonder if you remember this. I did this as a glaze for our molten lava tunnel cakes that we made last month for Valentine's Day. And do you remember I said that you could use this simple topping to make like chocolate dips, strawberries, fondue, or any glaze where you didn't want to take a lot of time and effort to make a frosting on a cake. I think that's the most difficult part of making a cake of any kind. This glaze will serve you well when you want something quick and easy and foolproof. So we're going to take about 30 seconds in the microwave. And good job, Alex. Thank you so much. Now look at this. This doesn't look very good, does it? So we're going to take this and you whisk it. And it suddenly doesn't look curdled anymore. It all comes together in a silky, glorious topping. Now, who wouldn't love something like that? And it's just whipped topping and chocolate chips. So I'm going to take and drizzle that on top. And you know what would be good on this is chopped walnuts or pistachios or almonds. And you know, since we have extra here, I would just, at the store, I would pick up some fresh strawberries and just serve that on a platter next to your strawberries. And what a fabulous dessert that would be. So remember that topping. We're going to check in shortly to make sure our Reuben ring is done, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. Look at our wonderful Reuben ring. Do you see how evenly browned it is? And the crescent rolls have cooked completely, and remember the center of it has all pre-cooked. The meats and the cheese and the sauerkraut and the filling and the cheese has all melted in. And if this was meat, you could put, to serve this, you could put a lovely batch of potato chips inside or whatever. And we're going to cut through this and serve it. And it stays very warm on the sides, but look at how fabulous that is. If you're doing a game day at your home or a lovely luncheon, this would be a perfect thing to serve, or along with any other filling that you might like to have. It's fun to try something new. So email me and let me know what you're trying, how the results are, and of course, if you have any questions on the products or specific recipes, I'd be glad to share them for you. Now this here, you see we've finished our chocolate puffs, cream puffs, and I did chocolate dip on the strawberries just in that topping that we used. You can see it makes a wonderful fondue. And even if you just wanted to do a strawberry fan, you can just slice through your strawberry like so, cut it through and fan it out, leaving the stem intact, and you have a wonderful little garnish for your chocolate Irish coffee profiteroles or cream puffs. I want to thank you so much for watching Cathy Neptune's Kitchen today. I hope you try and enjoy these recipes with your family and friends. Thank you again, and may the fork be with you.